friends. Welcome to Stitch with me. Today we are going to work on a Halloween project. So let's get started. As long as I only need one hand today, apparently I can get it to work. I don't know what setting has been changed on my camera, but now it looks like the camera wants to do whatever angle it wants. And when I adjust the angle, it just, it spins around. So here's our project we're going to work on today. We are going to add a few more Halloween motifs to this project. You can see that it looks like it's in a jar. In the end, I hope that that's the kind of frame that we have for it. I'm working on that, but that's a different job. Okay, we are going to need a good working glue pen. I have 3 of them out currently. I'm going to hope this is the best one. Okay, let's go ahead and mark. My apologies for how it keeps bouncing around. All right, what shall we mark first? Let's start with this web up here. And before we get too far, I want to see if, yeah, we are getting marks. It's not that they will erase, it's that keeping track of what's where might become difficult. So I think we're just gonna go with that. And then I'm gonna use this little edge of a ruler here to help draw my lines. Okay, that one I can see. This one I can see. However, as I draw the lines, I'm losing my dots. So let's make those a little more pronounced. Oh, that's working perfectly. Okay, let's draw this one. Got that dot, that dot, that dot, and the last one. I see one out here. Yeah, that's probably the right one. That dot, that dot, that dot, that dot, and then there's kind of one up here. This one doesn't need the straight line. I think it'll be out of the picture. We can add it if we decide to. And that dot, that dot, that dot. It doesn't have an end one because it doesn't need an end out there. Okay, so there's that part. Now, stick that down, touch it down to my dot, and slide. Or you could stitch it first before you do the next marking, but I'm going to go ahead and mark the corners of the stars. I'm just going to mark a little bit on these circles because I will come back and add them with a circle template. tiny stars down here. Okay, I still have all the, oh, I got one more star over here. I still have all of the florals to add, and I think I'm going to go ahead and work on the trunk, or the trunk. I think I'm going to go ahead and work on the stem of the pumpkin. Alright, let's see what we can draw up from what our dots look like. I'm always a little surprised that they don't show up a little bit better. That's a tiny little star. There's a star here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This star over here is close to the end of that. Okay, let's see what we can get of our pumpkin. It comes on to right there, and then we'll do something across there. Okay, and this is a star right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's a star up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a star right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, 4's out here. And there should be one more. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the spider. All right, where have I marked on the spider, and what can I identify in my marks? I think that. Okay, let's try this one right here, and that one right there. This is, no, that's my 5-star. Okay, and I can see one right here, and I can see one right here, and I can see one, I think it's up there. I don't know if it's not that far away. It's impossible. I'm like, wait a minute, spider's not that big. When I see right here, all right, let's just keep going. There's 1, 2, 3, and I can see, well, it looks like 1, 2, 3. Now, is that this one? Yeah, I think it is. And I think there's this one in between. And then the other one goes the opposite way. Starts in close and curls up like that. And then this one should end about right there and be a circle. And this should also be a circle. It's a square. We'll make it a circle in a minute. And that one also. All right, so we have lots of crazies. Okay, now let's get some black thread because we're going to do the spider web first. And I'm going to do the spider web out of a thinner black thread. So I'm using a size 12. This is the Sulky brand, but any size 12 will work because I want that spider web to be thin, thin, thin. Let's find us a needle that we can use. Let's do that part first. Okay, I'm going to try and keep this whole spider web one thickness. So that means back stitching. Question is, do I want to backstitch to every one of these? I think we're going to try that and see if they will look put together or if it looks like it has gaps. If it looks like it has gaps, we might have to rethink things. Yeah, that looks awesome. Okay, now we can move our little... Normally when I'm marking things and punching through like that, As long as I have a fairly hard surface, it doesn't have to be that hard. But what I've noticed is that when I do it on top of this is fleece. And the reason that I have fleece here is because it is gray, and gray, if there's gray background, it helps with the color. You know, sometimes you take a picture of something, it's a beautiful blue, and when you look at the picture, it's distorted it, it's made it, instead of turquoise, it's made it blue, or, you know, something in between that you're like, that's not what color that was. That's usually a color correction because cameras assume that what they're looking at has a balance of colors. So if you're taking a picture of something where you need the color of it is important that it get the color right, one of the things that can help is to add like a box of crayons to it. So it's got an assortment of the colors to compare to. So that's, anyway, that's why I put gray. Will adjust also the lightness and darkness. But if you fill so much of your image, as we're bouncing around here, if you fill a ton of your image with the solid color like that, it might tweak it anyway. Like I was really excited on one of the projects that I've videoed recently. I'm excited about the project, and when I looked at the color that it showed up as, I was like, that's not the right color. Okay, I think while we are down here, I'm just going to take a slight detour. You know what? Nope, I'm not. I was considering doing the small stars with this size 12, but I think I'll stick with it for the webs, and I'll switch to a size 8 for those stars. Okay, we are getting somewhere. I think that I'm okay with these. You can kind of tell where my joints are, but since that's where I'm also going to do the web that goes the opposite direction, I think that'll work. Remember to try and keep them in the same hole as much as possible so that it doesn't look like a crazy intersection. If you can. Getting those frames cut out for these is high on my priority list for this upcoming week. I've had some crazy weeks with grandkids visiting, and then 2 weeks of lacrosse camp, and just getting caught up with a few other things. So hopefully it is the week this week to work on fall and Halloween. I'm going to be doing some dyeing first because I've got a few Halloween projects in the works, and I want to make sure I've got the wool that I need for them. Okay, I think we're going to take this one to the back. And there's just some long lines on there, but it shouldn't be a problem. It will be inside of the frame, so no snaggies. All right, let's get another piece of this and finish out our web. I sure hope this video is working. I have been having fits lately with my software talking to my phone. It isn't a problem unless I get multiple calls from family. This one does need 2. Oh, it's really close to the same spot. Okay, that's why. Like if one of those calls comes in, then my phone is like, done talking to the computer, I'm not going to record you anymore. And I don't know how to get it to turn back on. So as of late, the only thing that I can do is shut off my phone, restart my phone, and hope nobody calls me back before I get done with the next video. Because if it does, it'll shut me off again. So I'm going to do some research into why I'm getting that response and see what I can do about it. Okay. Okay, I want to mark these guys up here. Didn't get marked very well because they'll be underneath the edge of the frame. Okay, so now I'm going to start right here, and we are just going to sew barely fly stitches. Barely fly stitches. I'm going to make sure that those tails on the fly stitches are as small as possible. A couple of things will help with that. Number one, don't pull too tightly on the part where you are, well, I'll show you what part. This part right here, this is the one you need to not pull too tightly on. Let it stay curved a little. Okay. That's the one that's going to look weird because those two didn't come out in the same place. Neither did those two. I think when we get done, it'll look like a cobwebby spider web. Clearly, they're better at it than I am. Think that well, no, it registered it as my phone, so I wonder why it does the pop it around directions thing. So right now, my hands, if the camera were working correctly, my hands would be right there in the middle. So for some reason, the angle the camera's at thinks that that's square. It's not. It's okay. As long as it's not spinning in circles like it was, we're good. Another thing to watch on these guys is that you don't make the tails too long. If you pull the tails, longer, then you can tell that they're there. And if you make the tails as short as you can, that works better. So for example, right here, that's the part where you don't pull it too far. And then I'm going to make sure that that tail is as short as it can be by going right back down in that same hole. Okay. So if you had a vacation day, meaning you didn't have to go anywhere or do anything on that day, what would you choose to do? Would you go to neighborhood festivities? Would you go out in nature? What would be your ideal vacation day? Today is supposed to be a vacation day for me, and I'm choosing to get caught up on work with it. But also stitching is one of my favorite things to do, so it's also fun and relaxing for me. But it made me think, I wonder what you'd like. Would you choose a day to work on hobbies? My husband was going to go golfing today. I don't know what happened. I do too know what happened. Our son re-injured his arm. So his golfing buddy, he was going to take him and see if they could. There's another father-son group that they like to go golfing with, and he was going to take him. I forgot. He re-injured his arm at lacrosse camp, and we haven't been back to see his doctor yet because of the holiday, but he was able to see some of the team doctors at his camp, and they said, they said follow up with your physician, but it looks like you just irritated it again, and just 2 or 3 weeks back on in a sling, resting it, and it'll be back. And I understand he wants it fixed permanently. And I understand that. If you were constantly worried that you would do something that would knock it out of joint, that's not something that you want to be doing when you're playing. I'm just not I need more answers from the professionals on if surgery would do that or if it's just the way it is for the rest of his life. So if surgery would leave you in the same situation of, well, hopefully it doesn't pop back out again, but so we'll see what we end up doing. He's supposed to start football, I think on Monday. So yeah. Anyway, that's why they didn't go golfing on the day off. I think he's getting caught up on some work too. He said, I'm going to go to the office. The office is closed today, but he said he was going to go in and see about finishing up some loose ends. Sometimes it's nice to just have a day to finish up loose ends. When I was growing up, it wasn't that holidays weren't holidays, but holiday often meant day we could get a lot of work done. I grew up on a farm. We had usually about 40 head of dairy cattle. Occasionally, so we had calves, and then occasionally we would. Most summers we did chickens, enough for us to butcher and harvest them for our own family's needs, as well as both sets of my grandparents lived close by. And so we would do enough for everybody. And sometimes I had aunts and uncles who also wanted them that year. So yeah, quite a few chickens. And of course for eggs, both for meat and for eggs. And then from time to time we'd get a pig, raise it. Once it was big, we'd have it butchered, and then we wouldn't have a pig till we needed more meat. Anyway, we had hay, of course, and grain. When I was a kid, we didn't grow corn. That required different equipment than what we had, but I think that they've grown corn since then. But we hauled hay, and then we had large gardens. So yeah, a day that wasn't a regular day of work was still a day to get plenty of work done. And that has, I have carried that on in my own married life of, woohoo, it's a holiday. Now, there were some holidays where we would go to celebrations and festivities, but most of the time it was like, yay, it meant a day that my dad wasn't teaching school, so he could work on things, and of course the cows had to be milked whether it's a holiday or not, so yeah, holiday meant work day to me. It still does. All right, we are nearly finished with our cute little spider web here. I think our fly stitches are doing the trick without being obvious leavies, without being obvious about the tack down spots. That's one of the advantages of using that really thin thread, is that we're able to hide those more. If we had a size 8, those little dots would be even more obvious. All right, so there's our spider web. I think we'll do another part. Let me grab some more thread. Okay, this is one of the blacks in a size 8. Let's go ahead and see if we can stitch some of these stars. This is another one of the, what the heck? It keeps changing what we're supposed to be seeing. Okay, let's try that and see if you can see that. All right, we'll just move. Okay, so this is another one from that series, and it had a star on it. That's what I wanted to look and see. Okay, that would help me be consistent in the stars. Let's do the tiny ones first. We can go bottom corner to top corner, back to bottom corner, back to top corner, out to middle on the side, over to this middle on the side, down to the corner, over here, down to this corner, and back across to here. Now the question is, when we get that far, if we just add a little, I think we're going to add a little French knot in the center, just a little, because I just need a little circle there to fill in the spot. That's not a French knot, that's a colonial knot. And I am using a chenille needle, which means I'm going to get a little bit of trouble pulling it through. There we go. That filled it up quite nicely, and that's what we were looking for. All right, let's finish this other little one. Same thing. Just keep going corner to corner till you've got them all filled in. If you think that a A straight stitch might work better than a French knot in the middle of there. Go for it. This time I'm trying a straight stitch to pull in those arms a little bit. All right, now let's jump up here to these spider legs, since it's close by. And we are going to, how thick do I want the spider's legs? Do we want them 1 strand thick? I think we do. So then I did mine with 3, I punched 3 holes in each one. So those 3 holes are going to be like the joints that I'm going to have in mine. I'll do straight lines between. Alternatively, you could do a stem stitch here and you would have thicker legs. But I think that this project for some reason is saying to me, dainty. Spiders have dainty legs, even scary ones. Okay, that second one comes right into the middle right here and only has, on mine, I only did 2 joints on that one. Let's make sure we're going down in the right hole. We don't need our spider leg to look funny. Okay, and then the third one, I'm back to 3 joints. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. And the fourth one. It's 1. If I had known it had been that easy, somebody just had to text me, and which apparently shuts off my phone. But if I turn off my ability to receive texts, then then I can't connect to my computer wirelessly. So I'm not sure. I'll find out when I'm editing where we left off. But what we have done, we just backstitched the spider legs, and then we did 3 spokes around the circle that we're going to do. We're going to weave with those in a bit, and then we went back to doing the stars. And I was about to tell you that when we do the bigger stars, this will come up. But what I did for the stars on this one, and I was showing you on here with a pencil that doesn't work. Yes, when I'm doing the stars, like I'll do this one first, and then I'll do this one, and then this one. It doesn't really matter, but then when I go back to do it the next time, I just go inside each time until the spaces are filled. And that's how you get, if you look closely at the overlap here, you can see that they overlap all the way around, just based on doing it in that order. All right, where were we at? I think we were switching to a new black thread because we need to do this little guy over here and this one up here. And then we can do the orange ones and the spider. And I can't remember how long that other video was to know how we're doing on time, but I think that'll be it for the day. I was telling someone that this oatmeal fabric is one of my favorites. I feel like it's a great neutral because it's got some personality to it with the flecks that are in it and just the natural variations that are in it. I think are perfect. The drawback to it is that it is a loose weave. So even after this has been felted, but you can see when it tears that it still has a little bit of the fray to it. So I don't love it necessarily for smaller pieces, but for backgrounds it works great. Okay, just a couple extra stitches required on that one. I think we've got enough for this last one. I think we're going to find out. I wouldn't say that Thread Chicken is one of my favorite games to play, but I would say that I do try to make myself wait to get new thread. If there might be enough to finish it, or if there's enough to make substantial progress. Well, we got enough to get our first round. Every corner to every other corner. Not really every other, but okay, now let's try a second round. So we're going to come out right there, just shy of where that first one was, and I think when I do this just shy to just shy here, it will fill, yeah, all the space in that one. And if we come just shy of this one to just shy up here, yeah, that filled all of our space with that one. Perfect. See, we did have enough. There's even enough here to tie without having to use tweezers. I think the best tweezers for tying are reverse tweezers, because you can get a hold of it and it will just hold it. And you can just kind of wrap, grab, and pull. Okay, before we do the orange ones, let's do the spider, because I'm a little bit excited about that. This looks like it is a size 24. And I'm going to wish that I had a size 22 for using this Petite Berry Velvet. You don't have to use Petite Berry Velvet for this. You could use any black thread and it would look fine, but the Petite Berry Velvet will make the... There we go. I got it back together. Okay. All right. So we're doing, if you missed this, I don't know where it went out again. I'm going to have to figure out a different solution. It's not done that in the past. Maybe because I don't get a lot of texts from my kids during that time. I don't know. We are just doing the woven circle stitch on this. And because it's got, because you've only got 3, it gets around really quick. Over, under the top one. Over, under the third one. But I was afraid if I had 5 spokes in there, it would just fill it up too much. So then over under the second one. And I thought that this would give us a nice fuzzy, fat spider body. Okay, we just went over number 3, so now it's the top one, so now it's the bottom one over there and the bottom one over here. Now it's a matter of how big do we want that spider to be. I would like him a little bit bigger, I think, if that's possible, so that he kind of runs into his legs. Now this one. And this one. Okay, that one right there is not the last one I had here. There we go, and then I'll just take it down right over here. Then we can come out and work on the head. Same thing, come out right in between one of the little V's. Over, under. Over, under. Over, under. Over, under. Okay, that's a tiny little head. We need to get it bigger. He's got to be bigger enough to have fangs, right? Just kidding, I'm not adding fangs. I'm not even adding eyes to him, I don't think. I wonder if he's actually supposed to have a line down from the spider web. I'll bet he is. Now we go under that one. Then we go under this one. And I think I like that size of head, so I'm just going to go back up here to the middle and finish it off. There's our fuzzy spider. Okay, let's do our orange stars, and I'm using the variegated orange on this because I think it's pretty. I can't remember what it's called, like traffic cone or something, but to me, I'm going to call it fall. That's what I'm going to call it. Just a little bit of variation to it. It goes almost to coral and back to a nice golden color. Okay, so bottom left and up. And then across. The short answer to your question is no, I'm not consistent in where I start and stop. Okay, but I know our first one started down here, so we're just going to go in just a little bit from where it is and up here to in just a little bit from the end. And then I know our second one was across the arms. And I was like, that felt like I did not pull it quite far enough. There we go. And then from down here to up there where it's just shy. So I can either go down right here or I can do it just a little bit longer. I'm going to choose the little bit longer. And then we have, I can't remember whether I went this way next or this way next, but I don't think it matters too much. And this is fun. The stars turned out to be orange on the outside and golden in the middle. And that fills that space. Come on. You cannot hold on to him. Okay, so there's that star. This star. To up and across the arms. And then up again. And down. Now we're getting darker on the center of this one. Okay, from just inside, we're going to do the up. Oh, I did the other side first, but it doesn't matter. Come on, quit twisting. And let's do the across the arms. I know I'm holding it upside down for an across the arms part. Oh, we do not want to go further, we want to go shy. Then from down here, up to one arm. This is a fun thing with a variation that I didn't realize would happen. That's a fun twist for it to change color inside to outside. This one is a little bit bigger, so it needs a third. Doesn't need the whole round, but it's got to cover that hole in the middle, so we'll start again with the going down to the corners. Oh, and we got to yellow by the middle. How funny is that? Is that all full? I think we filled it up. Okay. All right, so there is the beginning progress on our Halloween. This one's the spider. I think that's what we'll call him, is the spider. Because spider I can remember, and he's the only spider on these. There are 4 of them total in the set. They work independently. You don't have to have the set, but there are 4 different ones. There's a spider and a cat and a haunted house and a witch. I love how these pens work to get rid of the blue. And this is a fresh one, fresh pen. I got it out, I think it was yesterday. That helps, but also I will hang on to them and just dip the end in water. Okay, we are ready to add the greenery that goes on it and the top of the pumpkin in our next video. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time.